Here are some extra problems from Chapter 7. We did some problems like this in class to get ready for the test. In this video, I'm showing you the problems without variables and then showing them to you with variables so you can see how it changes what you have to do and how it changes the answer that you will expect to get. So let's look at this first one. Josh can read 45 pages in an hour. How many pages can he read in 30 minutes? Well, this should look very familiar. This is a rate problem. So if it's saying that he can read 45 pages in an hour, or you can also think of that as per hour. We put that over 1 hour. How many pages can he read in 30 minutes? Well, here is the little tricky part. We have hour up here and 30 minutes down here. What does that mean? In your mind, you should be thinking, oh, we have to convert that. Hour has to go to minute. So what we do to convert is we multiply. We put hour on the top since it's on the bottom there. And we think, we need to end up with minutes. So how many minutes are equal to 1 hour? Well, 60, of course. So we have 60 minutes equal to 1 hour. So this is just like multiplying the whole thing by 1, because 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So we make sure we're right by looking back at our units. I have hour here and hour here. Those cancel out because we have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So now we multiply. 45 pages times 1 is 45 pages on the top. And then 1 times 60 minutes. So we have 60 minutes on the bottom. Now we can simplify that a little bit. We can think what goes into 45 and also into 60 to make this fraction a little easier to handle. Well, I know that if I count up by 15s, I would say 15, 30, 45, 60. Oh, 15 goes into both of those. So I can say 45 divided by 15, oh, that's 3. And 60 divided by 15, well, that's 4. So my answer here is going to be 3 over 4, or 3 pages in 4 minutes. So it takes me 4 minutes to read every 3 pages, or I can read 3 pages in 4 minutes. You can think about it either way. So then we have to do the second part of the problem. It asks us, how many pages can he read in 30 minutes? Well, we have our 3 pages over 4 minutes, and we just multiply that by 30. Minutes, and that's over 1 because we're not dividing the 30 by anything there. Okay, now we just multiply here, and I can see that I have minutes here and minutes here. They're going to cancel out there because we have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So we can get rid of those. I also am looking and I can see that I can make my 30 and 4 a little simpler. I can reduce that. I can cross reduce. So I can divide each by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 30 divided by 2 is 15, and that will make my answer a little easier to deal with. So on the top I have 3 pages times 15. Well, that's 45 pages. And on the bottom I have 2 times 1. Well, that's just 2. Now I look at that and I think, 45 pages divided by 2. Well, 45 divided by 2 is 22.5 pages. So I can read Josh can read 22.5 pages in 30 minutes. So let's take a look at this as an algebraic expression. Here again we have Caleb. Now, he can read 30 pages in an hour. He's a little younger than Joshua, so he can read a little slower. How many pages can he read in X minutes? Well, this has a variable in it. So it's going to be just like the other problem, but we'll have our variable. So it says that Caleb can read 30 pages in an hour. So again, I'm just going to make my fraction 30 pages in, or per, that means we can make that a fraction, 1 hour. Now my answer has to be in minutes, so I have to convert that. Well, I have hour down at the bottom, so that means I need to put hour on the top. And I think, how many minutes are in an hour? Well, it's still 60, just like the other problem. And again, I multiply that across 30 pages. Oh, whoops, sorry, I need to cancel first. I cancel my hour here and my hour here. So, and the reason I can do that is because one's on the bottom and one's on the top. If they were both on the bottom or both on the top, I cannot do that. It's just like reducing numbers. You only can do this if one's on the top and one is on the bottom. So now I multiply across 30 pages times 1 is 30 pages. And this time it's 1 times 60 minutes. So in 60 minutes, ooh, I can reduce that. I know that 30 2 times is 60, so I'm going to multiply, or I'm going to divide this by 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. 60 divided by 30 is 2. So look at that. I can read 1 page in 2 minutes. So now I need to find out how many pages I can read in X minutes. Well, if I can read 1 page in 2 minutes, then I need to find out how long it will take me to read X pages, or in X minutes. So I'm going to multiply again by X minutes. And X just stands for a number that we don't know. So I don't know how long he's going to be reading, but this tells me how many pages in an unknown amount of time. So I have this minute down here at the bottom and this minute down here at the top, so I can cancel those. And then I just multiply. 1 page times X. Well, 1X is just X. I don't need to put the 1 down there. So X pages in 2 times 1 is 2. So I have X over 2 pages. And then, of course, I would put my parentheses around this. Sorry, this is a little messy. My pen is feeling a little funny today. Okay, let's try the second one. Here we go. First, we're going to look at it without any variables. Ben goes to the store with a $5 bill. That, I think, might be important. He sees some yummy apples that are 4 for $1.60. How much change will he get if he buys 3? Well, this is a unit rate problem again. So I'm going to find out how much he pays for 1 apple, and then I can just multiply that by 3. So it says that the apples are for $4.60. So $1.60 is the total. And 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of them are $1.60. I'm looking for how much 1 is, just 1. So if $1.60 is my total, and I'm dividing that into 4 parts because I have 4 apples, I do just that. I do $1.60 divided by 4. Now I happen to know that 16 divided by 4 is 4. So if I'm dividing, 4 cannot go into 1, so that's going to be a 0. Now I look at the 16 together. Oh, that's going to be 4. It divides evenly, but I have this 0 left. And so I can put the 0 over here. So apples are 40 cents each. Oh, that helps me a lot. Now I can find out how much it will cost to get 3 apples, because right here it says he buys 3. So I do 40 cents. Whoops, I just did dollars there. Let's try it again. I can do 40 cents times 3. Well, 40 cents times 3 is $1.20, because I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So $1.20. And now I have the last part of my problem. This is what makes it a little tricky. It says at the first of the problem, Ben goes to the store with the $5 bill. And then he sees yummy apples. How much change will he get? Oh, so they're not just asking me for how much 3 costs. They're saying if Ben goes to the checkout and he gives the lady the $5 bill, and she's going to give him change, how much will that be? Well, that means that it's $5 minus the $1.20. And if I do that, I might, you can do that different ways. You can write it down and do the minus. I kind of think of going up to the 5 sometimes. So I think 20 to the next dollar to $2 is going to be 80 cents. 2, and then 3 is 1, 4, 5, that's $3. So $3.80 will be left. And there's my dollar sign. And so $3.80 will be my change. Let's look at it without all the numbers there. Let's look at it with a variable. Here we go. Ben goes to the store with a $5 bill. There it is. Whoops. He sees some yummy apples for 2x. Now, this is exactly the same as the problem we just saw. The problem up here said 4 for $1.60. So $1.60 was the total, and we divided it by 4. Down here, the total is 2x dollars. And so, again, it's divided by 4. So we do 2x divided by 4. Oh, I see that I have a 2 and a 4 there. That means I can reduce there. 2 goes into 2 once, it goes into 4 twice. So that would be x over 2 dollars. Do you see that this is just like working with regular numbers? But here I just have the x, so I cannot simplify any more than x divided by 2. That's as far as it goes for that. So each apple is x divided by 2. So how much change will he get if he buys 3? So each apple is x divided by 2. So now I need to find out what happens if I buy 3 apples. So x divided by 2 times 3. And I can think of that as 3 over 1. That makes it a little bit easier. So I multiply the top, 3x, multiply the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. So 3x over $2 for 3 apples. Now I have to see about the change. Well, it's a $5 bill. And actually, I'm going to take away that. So it's $5, and I'm subtracting that 3x over 2. Well, now I have a little problem. Can I actually subtract the term 3x over 2 from 5? I really can't, because 3x over 2 has a variable and 5 does not have a variable. Those two terms cannot be combined, cannot be subtracted, they cannot be simplified. So what I do is I just put my parentheses around and then I write dollars. And that is my answer. I cannot simplify it any farther than that. Okay, let's look at another one. So on this one, it says Mrs. Orr bought 5 oranges. She also bought apples. She bought 3 more apples than oranges. You know, sometimes I find it makes it a lot easier if I just write down what I know to the side. So 5 oranges, and then 3 more apples and oranges. Well, if it was 5 oranges, it's 5 plus 3 apples. Okay, so how many pieces of fruit did she buy? Well, I bought the 5 oranges plus that 5 plus 3 apples. So that's 13 pieces of fruit. There's my box so that my teacher can tell where my answer is. Now, did you notice that I wrote down my expression first before I simplified it? You need to do that in your work as well. And make sure you're labeling just like I did. Okay, here's the next section. If the oranges cost 40 cents and the apples cost 25 cents, how much did she spend? Well, I had 5 oranges, so I need to pay 40 cents for every orange. Oh, well, that just means I'm doing 5 oranges times that 40 cents. Okay. And then also, I need to put in the apples as well. So I'm adding in the apples. So I had 8 apples in all times 25 cents. So 8 times 0.25. Make sure you don't forget your decimal points. So I take care of my first term over here, 5 times 0.40. Well, I just multiply across. I do 5 times 0, well, that's 0. And then 5 times 4, that's 20. I had 2 decimal places there, so I have 2 decimal places here. So this section is $2. Now I add my other part. 8 times 0.25. Well, I think the easiest way to think of this is quarters. I know that there are 4 quarters and $1. So 8 quarters equals $2. So 8 times 25 is $2. Look at that. 2 plus 2. That's 4. Now, if I just wrote 4, I would get points off. I need to make sure I put that $sign on there. All right, before we do the third one, let's talk about this sentence and what it means. Okay, we have the sentence, express your answer in terms of X. Now, many of you have told me that you're confused about this. What does this mean, Mrs. Orr? And so let's talk about it. Well, X here, X is going to be your variable. Terms. Do you remember what terms are? Well, let's take a look at one of the problems we already did. Up here in this problem right here, we have 2 terms. We have a grouping of variables and numbers that are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. So this 5 is a term, and the 3x over 2 is a term as well. So we're going to see an answer that has terms in it. So x might be a part of it or another variable, and then we might have just a number part. So it says express. Well, does that sound like anything we've talked about lately? If you're thinking of the word expressions, then you are right. Expressions are a grouping of numbers that mean something that are not an equation. So back up here again, we can look at this. This is an expression. The whole thing is an expression. So it's that 5 minus 3x over 2. That's an expression. And then the terms are 5 minus 3x over 2. So we had that 5 minus 3x over 2. Now look at that again and think to yourself, what is the expression? What is the term? And what is x? Let's go over that one more time. X is the variable. The term is each groupings of numbers that are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. So we have two terms here. The expression is the whole grouping here. So when it says express, you can think, oh, I'm going to have a group of numbers that tell something. Express your answer in terms of X. That means that X is going to be in one of your terms. So it's just telling you you're going to provide an expression as your answer. I hope that will help you a little bit. Mrs. Orr bought X oranges. Now we're going to see this problem with a variable. She also bought apples. She bought 3 more apples than oranges. How many pieces of fruit did she buy? Again, I'm going to write what I know over here. So I have X oranges. I have 3 more apples than oranges. Well, that means I have X plus 3 apples. How many pieces of fruit did I buy? Well, that means I need to have the oranges plus the apples. So I have X oranges plus X plus 3 apples. So I have X plus 3 pieces of fruit in all. So now I'm talking about fruit. But if you gave me that answer, I would take points off because you need to simplify as much as you can. Well, can we combine any of these terms? We have, 2 x's there. That means that we can just say X plus X is 2X. And here I just have a number by itself, so I can just put plus 3 in parentheses, and I need to label it so that I know what I'm talking about. So 2X plus 3 pieces of fruit. Now, is that an expression? Yes. Is that an expression in terms of X? It sure is. That variable is an X, and it's in some terms in an expression. That's all that means. It feels a little confusing, but hopefully you're getting it now. If the oranges cost 40 cents and the apples cost 25 cents, how much did she spend? So I look back up here and I say, I had X oranges. Well, oranges, X times 40 cents for oranges. I'm going to put that in parentheses so I know that that's one thing that I'm talking about. And then I'm going to add in how much I paid for the apples. Well, apples were X plus 3. Well, I have to do that X plus 3 multiplied by my 0.25. And usually we write that a little bit of a different way. Usually you'll see me write the 25 before that parenthesis. So that's what you're used to seeing. Okay, so now I just need to multiply. Well, X times 0.40 is just going to be 0.40x. That was easy enough. And then I need to expand this. 0.25 times x is 0.25x. 0.25 times 3 is 0.75. Now, I'm not done. I have this expression. So here I have my expression. I have terms with x in them, but it's not simplified. 0.40x plus 0.25x. When I add those together, I get 0.65x. And then plus 0.75. Now, you might be thinking, maybe I could simplify that some more. 0.65 plus 0.75. But stop, you don't know what x is. You don't know what we're multiplying that 0.65 by. So it has to stay by itself. It cannot be combined with 0.75 because 0.75 does not have an x on it. So don't combine those. You will have the wrong answer. So we need to put parentheses around this. This shows this is our whole expression here, and dollars is our units here. So 0.65x plus 0.75 dollars is our answer. Now, if you need more practice on these problems, you could go back to the top, start the video again, and pause it before I go through the explanation. Then you could try to do the problem yourself and then check your answer as I do the problem.